Hey guys, welcome back to a quick little introduction to me getting the Fujifilm X-H1. Now, this camera, I've wanted it for a long time, and this is supposedly, well, I guess it is the flagship camera from Fujifilm. So it's meant to be a little bit tougher. Apparently the paint is thicker on the camera, in line with being used for professional use, and I believe the mount is meant to be stronger to perform well with a heavy, larger lens that you may put on it as a professional. The camera, when it arrived, was in a large box and came very well packed. Came in a plastic bag that was sealed. It has that special tape that as you peel it off will actually sort of come apart and leave a bit on the plastic bag where it was, so that you cannot really sort of put it back together again, like reseal the bag. It's almost impossible because it's like a metallic paint and the metallic peels off. I'm sure you've all seen that sort of tape before. Anyway, so it came very well packaged and protected, and you can be sure that it's a brand new unit. There's no doubt about it. If yours doesn't come packaged like that, then I would be saying maybe somebody's been there before you. Maybe not, but probably. Also got the grip with it, which is very nice. Now, comparing this grip with the Mikey grip that I have for my X-T2, obviously this original Fujifilm grip is a much better finished grip than the Mikey grip that I got for my X-T2. Although the Mikey grip is fine, I haven't had any issues with that in saying that, but it's just that this is definitely of the same sort of quality and standard as the Fujifilm camera, whereas the Mikey is sort of a lower grade product. It's not quite there. And things like the rubber grip on this are exactly the same as the rubber grip on the camera here. So the grips match perfectly. Naturally they're the same. You noticed inside, I noticed inside that there's like felt on the bottom where the camera sits in between here. Very nicely made, and generally it all fits together very well. It's a good package with the two together. It's nice and easy to handle. Now obviously I've only had this camera for 4 days or so, and I haven't obviously had a good chance to really put it through its paces, and I'm not going to say that this is my review or end of this is it. I'm not going to come to a conclusion on this camera right now because I haven't really put it through its paces yet, but I can tell you off the bat what I think about it, the things that I'm noticing, the differences coming from the X-T2, and what I like, what I don't like. Now, first things first, I'll tell you the things that I really like, and well, there's one major thing that I really like about this camera. Obviously, the one thing that's the standout difference between this and the X-T2, apart from the physical differences, is the fact that this inside has the image sensor stabilization. So it actually moves around and stabilizes the image while you're shooting video or taking photos. It works quite well. It works pretty darn well. I would say definitely better than Sony's image stabilization in body, and I can't really say for Panasonic. I haven't had a lot of experience with that, but I would say that this is Well, it's good. It's very good. It's really amazing. It's not a gimbal. You know, it's not as good as the image stabilization in this camera recording me, which is a Sony camera which has the image stabilization which moves the whole lens, and that's virtually a gimbal inside the camera, and the whole mechanism moves and floats, and that's pretty incredible. That's why I use these cameras. But for this style of camera, a mirrorless DSLR sort of style body, it works fantastic. And I have to say that I am noticing that pictures taken with this generally are sharper, and I would say it's not because I'm talking about just like handhold normal sort of pictures that I'm taking, and I would say I would attribute that to the fact that it's got this image stabilization in it, because it works really well, really well. I don't know exactly how many stops. I haven't gone to great lengths to calculate that, but I'll just say it's working very, very well with all my lenses. At the moment, this is the pancake lens, the 27. Even this lens, which is the cheap lens, what, $200 odd, maybe less if you buy it secondhand, or will be less. But this lens is, super sharp. I just took some snapshots of my daughter just to check it out, have a go, put it onto the computer, had a look, and wow, they're just stellar sharp. They were just shots done inside, nothing prepared, but going in and looking at them, her eye and the hairs and everything, really, really sharp. And I would say they're, I don't know if I'm imagining it, but I think they're probably sharper than the same sort of scenario with the X-T2. I would definitely give the thumbs up for the image stabilization. It's well worth it, even for a photographer, definitely worth it. If you want to get the most out of your lenses. I have noticed, because a lot of my lenses aren't stabilized, I've got the 35, I've got the 56, I've got this 27, I've got the 16 to 55, none of them are stabilized. And I've also got the macro one, the 60mm. None of them are stabilized, and that's why I really wanted this body, because I know a lot of people say, oh, it's a lot in your technique, and you got to hold the camera right, and take a breath in and then press the button and not be moving. And yeah, I understand all that, and I know that technique, those techniques and strategies for getting sharp photos, and yes, they do improve your sharpness a lot. They do, there's no doubt about it. But at the end of the day, if you're doing that and you've got image stabilization, you're going to be take it up to another level of sharpness. Yeah, it's really good, it's really nice, and I'm happy with that. What else can I say about this camera? I really like the design of the camera. I was never very impressed with the X-T2. I had the X-T10 previously, I believe it's called. I had that a while ago. Didn't like the X-T10. That was just like a small, tiny little version of whatever. But, it was just a small little mirrorless camera, and too small for me. Too small. Even with an Arca Swiss grip on it, it was still just a bit too dinky. Now, then I've got an XE2S. Sorry, I go through way too many cameras, but I've still got the XE2S. I really like that as a, it's what's the style? I believe it's sort of a rangefinder style. I think that's what they call it, with the, your eyepiece to the top left-hand side, so you can hold the camera like that without having the camera center on your face. You can just tuck it into your eye, which is great if you're right-eyed, and of course some people are left-eyed, which isn't so good. So this camera with its body, it's a much larger body than any of the other Fujifilm cameras. It's quite big. I weighed it just now in the kitchen, and it was just over a kilo. So that was with the grip and 2 batteries in it. Now, just over a kilo, that's a bit of heft. That is not lightweight. That is, you know, up in your full frame DSLR territory. There's no doubt about that. It's definitely a solid camera. It does not feel cheap. I've heard a lot of reports and watched reviews on it, and people talking about it and saying that they feel that it doesn't feel like a quality product. It feels a bit flimsy or cheesy or something. I don't know the exact words that they were using, but a few reports like that. But no, to me, this feels like an absolute stellar quality product. No doubt in my mind about that. I can't see anything that's sort of a half-assed effort on this camera. Everything's nicely finished. All the buttons and dials are well made. They all function properly. And I like it very much. Now, going back to the body shape, naturally this has the grip here. It's got this grip, which none of the other Fujifilm cameras have. This grip, I love it. I love it, love it, love it so much. And even more so that I love is the shutter release here at an angle, the way my finger moves, you know, not like a stupid button on top. My finger doesn't want to go up and down like that. My finger wants to go out like that, yeah? It's good ergonomics. Ergonomically, really well designed, just like, you know, all the DSLRs at the moment, you know, they're all a similar shape with the front release button angling down like that, you know, with the XT2 and the XT3 and the XT1 and even the other X series cameras, you know, with the shutter button on top, and they've got, you know, the provision for the cable release and all that. That's just really, I don't like that. That's something I've never liked. I think it's almost gimmicky, unfortunately. But this has got it all perfect the way I like it. As somebody who might go out and shoot an event, it's easy to handle. You know, you want a good handle when you're holding the camera for hours. It's nice to have it fit in your hand. For me, it fits nicely. Perfect, you know, my fingers wrapped around this. I've got medium to large hands. My fingers wrapped around this, they're sort of not squashed on the inside piece here. They grip really well. All the buttons are reachable. Fantastic. Very, very happy with layout and ergonomics of the camera. It's got this LCD screen on top, which everybody would be aware of, which is a very nice sort of, I don't know what they call it. It's like a Kindle sort of screen. It's black on white, or it can be white on black. And it's very clear, very legible, and looks very slick, you know, looks well done, you know, not like the old LCD screens that are grey and black. No, this is nice quality, very nice. It's a good finish. I don't often refer much to it, but it's nice that it's there, you know, it shows the remaining exposures and things like that. Now, the buttons, let me talk about the buttons. These top dials, we've got the ISO dial on the left and the shutter speed on the right. Now these, I'm not so happy with. I mean, I'm happy with the dial, but I just feel that it's a bit too loose. It's very easy. Can you see that? I just have to touch that. just rolls. Both the dials have exactly the same feel. They both roll very easily, but they've both got a lock, which is good because I would recommend you lock them. I've had them unlocked, and then I've looked down after shooting for a while and mucking around with menu settings and stuff like that, and somehow the setting that I had has changed. So that's not good for me. I would prefer something a bit more stiff. I don't mind a bit more stiffer with a clicky dial. I like a bit stiff, a bit of positivity there. This is a bit too flimsy for me. They're both exactly the same nearly. But definitely, you know, you really want to be locking the ISO dial. That's very easy to knock. And you don't want to be changing ISOs. You know, you could be going from low to a very high ISO, you know, with just a couple of clicks or a knock of your hand. Not a good thing. Not a good thing, and I'll definitely want to lock that in. I almost always shoot in aperture priority, so lock in the A on the shutter speed and you're done. So not a problem going from there. In typical, you know, Fujifilm style, the viewfinder is massive and immense. It feels like you're looking in and you're sort of looking around inside the viewfinder for the stuff you want. It's so big. It's fantastic. It's ample and it works well. It's clear. Sorry about that. And very nice viewfinder. Very happy with that and all alphas. Apart from that, the functionality of the camera is very, very similar to any other Fujifilm camera. You know, the menus are the same as the X-T2 virtually, in that you have, I mean, you got obviously other settings for functions on this camera that this camera has that the X-T2 or the X-T3 doesn't have, and it's all a very similar sort of environment, which I'm not that crash about. Like I know people tend to say that the Fujifilm menu is fantastic. Some people seem to rave about it. I don't rave about it at all. I don't think it's much better than the Sony system. One of the things that really pisses me is the fact that to format your cards, you gotta like go into the user settings and then go to format, and it's just a pain. Like, you got to go through so many levels to get the format, and you got to do it twice because you can't format the two cards at once. Don't like that. Don't like that at all. Sorry. I guess nothing's perfect, but yeah. I mean, I'm familiar with it. It's not too bad. Autofocus is, I think it's a bit better than the X-T2, just my initial impression. Well, for taking photos of people and things around the house, you know, just testing out this camera this week, I definitely noticed that it's sort of grabbing focus better than the X-T2. I don't know if that's a scientific conclusion, or if I'm just, you know, hopeful that this is a better in my mindset. It's not like outstandingly better, but I do definitely feel that it's got a better autofocus than the X-T2. I just feel it's a bit more faster to grab faces, faster to grab the eye, definitely. Well, that's how I feel. And yeah, I will note that when I got this camera, it had the old firmware on it. I had to go and download latest version 2 onto it, which I did within, you know, virtually the day I received it. I put the latest firmware on it, and I haven't had any problems with, of course, putting firmware on is quite an easy process. I might make a video about that later. But yeah, it's not a difficult thing to load Fujifilm firmware. And I've updated this to the latest firmware 2, if you're wondering, and everything's great. So sorry that I forgot to mention this before. It's something that you sort of take for granted, I guess, as you use a new product. But the mechanical shutter on this is just amazing. It's like no other shutter that I've ever experienced before. It is so quaint and dainty. Like it just goes click click. I'll do it just for the heck of it. I know a million people have done this and explained it, but until you experience it yourself, you really can't quite comprehend it and why it's so nice. Let me take a photo. I'm going to take a photo, okay? Listen. Be quiet. I don't know if you heard that. I'll do another one. That is so quiet. I could not work out whether I had the electronic shutter on. Because you can have the setting to make a sound of the shutter when you take a photo with the electronic shutter. And I thought that was what was happening, and I thought it was down low, even that setting, because it's not even as loud as, when you have the volume turned up on the electronic shutter. It's just so quiet and sneaky. Like, this is like the perfect camera for, quiet environments where you do not want to disturb people, where you want it to be sort of stealthy. And the obvious example there is, of course, wedding photography. And I haven't used this for a wedding yet, but if I do next wedding I'm going to be using this camera 100%, and I'm really excited to, because like I was saying before, the autofocus is great, and that shutter is just so quiet. It's just so unobtrusive. It would not disturb anybody. I don't think anybody would complain about that little click click. I can't even do it quite enough with my voice. It's just such a little, it dampened it or something, they've dampened the whole mechanism, and it's all, whatever they've done, this is the ultimate shutter. I'm so happy with it. Okay, yeah, so that's just my little introduction to XH1, things that I've noticed in the first few days of having it. Very happy with my purchase. For $1,100 US, I think it's an absolute steal. You're definitely getting a professional grade camera, and a lot of people would say, oh, but it's APS-C. Yeah, so what? Honestly, I'm not going to go into that argument right now, but this is a professional grade camera. It's got, I believe, professional grade image stabilization, up there with the best of them, the image stabilization on this camera. The paint finish, the grip, the ergonomics are really good. They're just about perfect, it's easy to hold, vertical with the shutter release there, horizontal, nice clear display, easy to use, a familiar navigation system if you're in the Fuji system already. Battery life, I would say, is not going to be the strong suit of this camera. Just using it, I've noticed the camera batteries, and I'm using the W126S batteries, I believe they're called. Been noticing them drop. I'm pretty sure they're dropping a lot faster than the old XT2. Now, that's not such a big deal. I mean, I'm not gonna bash it because of that. I'm just gonna say that that is something to note. Maybe it's the image stabilization that is dropping that down. Maybe it's something else. All I can say is that the battery definitely doesn't last as long as the XT2. I'm guessing it is running, more stuff in there. We've got the image stabilizer. It's got the screen on the top. I don't know what else. Anyway, I'm just trying to justify it. But anyway, initially, for me, I'm very happy. I'm super happy with how sharp the results are coming from this camera. I'm gonna go and put up a couple of photos to show how sharp they are onto a Flickr page that I'm going to create now, so that when I do reviews and stuff, you can go and look at the image, you know, big, rather than looking at on a YouTube video, because when you look at the images on YouTube, they're compressed, and you know, it's compressed through my computer making this video, and then it's going to be compressed again by the YouTube video codecs. So I'm going to go and get a Flickr page. I'm going to create one right now. I'm going to upload a couple of photos just to show what I mean by sharpness. Okay, and that's all. I'll take some side-by-side photos, maybe using the X-T2 and this, and then you can maybe see a slight difference, perhaps, maybe not. I'll use the same technique to take the photos and all the same settings, and we'll see how we go, eh? Let's have a look and see how this performs. So go to my Flickr page, check them out, and hope you have a good week. I will be giving a better review of this after extended use. I don't want to, you know, say that this is my review of this. It's not. This is just an overall impression, first week, what I like, some things I don't like, and yeah, hope to talk to you soon. Have a good time and take lots of photos. Catch you later.